land of extremes and infinite variety, from lofty, wind-blasted mountains to rolling, mist-clad hills, from rugged Atlantic coasts to serene sandy bays, West Cork, that southwest corner of Ireland defined by its amazing diversity, its wildlife, its scenery, its people and their activities. To many, West Cork is less a location, more a state of mind. West Cork is well known for its varied wildlife and incredible scenery. It's also known for its amazing people, some of whom make West Cork their home. Others, like 66-year-old Mary Nolan Hickey, are just passing through.
To me, 85 to 90% of it is mental. If you have decided you are definitely going to get through this, no matter what, and you a certain amount of planning, and you go, you'll get through it. I remember a man once, and his brother built a boat in Arklow, and I met him on the bridge, and he was telling me what he was going to do, row the Atlantic, and I'm thinking, what? But he said to me, when we get there, not if we get there. So that's the kind of attitude I have. I don't think if I get there, it's when I get there, and no matter what happens in between, I'll cope with that. Now it's worked for me up to now. It's same when I go into a marathon. It's whatever happens from the start line to the finish line, I'll get to the finish line. Whether it goes good or bad, I'll cope with it. Some days are great, everything goes right. Some days are hell, everything goes wrong. But you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and you get there. I think once you decide, I might get there or I'll see what happens, you probably won't get there. I left Arklow, County Wicklow on the 1st of January, 9 a.m. from the RNLI station down there, and my aim was to run around the whole coast of Ireland to raise some funds for RNLI Ireland. In miles, I think I'm up and around 1,200. I'm not 100% sure. I have people looking after that end for me. I just record each day how much miles I've done. I record it on my Garmin watch, take photographs, send it back. And my team back in Arklow looking after all that for me.
Come on, Chris. Cheers.
Just the same as running in the good weather, I'm afraid, only you will get very, very wet and miserable if you let that happen. But if you have enough gear on and you know what you're at, you'll be fine. These are the days that you might end up needing the plastic bag and the marigolds. But it's not cold, it's just wet. There's no great wind. It's just wet. We're getting very wet, but we're not too bad.
Should be.
And he's getting changed.
Yeah.
I actually thought this was going to be an awful lot harder than it has been, and I'm finding it. Yes, the distance and the days and the weather has been very bad, but it hasn't been as horrendous as it could have been, or I thought it was going to be, because the coastal communities have just took me in and looked after me. So at the end of every day, I'm going into someone's beautiful B&B or a lovely hotel or a house, and I'm being so well looked after. It's grand, really, you know. Get through the days and that's it. I have a few injuries, being as I turned 66 in June, and I've been running for 50 years. As I say, I'm a vintage model at this stage, so if I was a car, I'd probably be scrapped and wouldn't be let on the road, but I'm not. I'm human and I have a very strong mind. I have a little bit of injury. I have a little bit of a niggle in the hip, and I've lost a few toenails, so obviously the feet are a bit sore. But it's nothing that is going to stop me. It's when I like to run 90% of my days. It might be slow now, but I walk up the hills, and so it's still doable, and I'm still really enjoying it. There's nothing about this that I'm finding uncomfortable. Really, it's all doable. I'm lucky enough to be the only female that has done every Dublin City Marathon since it started in 1980, and I have ran most of them competitively. I've done a couple of 100k races, I've done 50k mountain races, I've done the Marathon des Sables in the Sahara Desert, so I've kind of been involved in athletics. I do a lot of rowing as well, so one way or the other I like the outdoor stuff. For me, it's not an obsession, it's a passion. I love it, and as long as I'm enjoying it, there's no money in it, as long as I'm enjoying it and getting a kick out of it and pleasure out of it, and this body will keep going, I will keep going, yeah.
One of West Cork's most celebrated sons is Stephen Redmond. Steve is an open water endurance swimmer, and he made swimming history when he was the first man to complete a swim across 7 of the world's most famous channel crossings.
Well, I got too old and slow for rugby and triathlon. I went as far as I thought I could in triathlon. I did it Ironman in Lanzarote, and a buddy of mine was just doing English Channel, John Connie here in Baltimore, and I trained away with him. And it was a thing, being born in England and watching the guys doing the Channel swim as a kid. It was a thing I always thought. It was the only thing I was ever allowed to do was swim. You know, I was never any good at football or anything like that. So I got the English Channel in 2010, and I had no idea about this Ocean 7 thing at all. You know, I thought maybe it was a midlife crisis at the time, or it was a cry for help or whatever. So it was 7 channels dotted all around the world. The English Channel, the North Channel between Scotland and Northern Ireland, which is deemed the hardest swim in the world due to the coldness up there. The Gibraltar Straits, the Cook Straits between the North and the South Island in New Zealand, the Tsugaru Channel in Japan between the North and the South Island up there, and where else are we going? Catalina Island into LA, and Molokai, which is Hawaii, which was really something special, you know, to go down there. That's the longest one of all. That's 40 miles. They call that the Channel of Bones. We were very fortunate. We got the North Channel, back home again. I got an email from a guy called Steve Monatonis in America, and he says, now you've got the 2 hard ones done, why don't you do the others? And that's how it started. As I say, it did, I suppose, in the end become a race against some really great swimmers around the world, Americans and Australians and Canadians and English. The year we finished, there was 3 guys coming over to do the North Channel, and they were all on 6. There were 2 Americans and a Canadian girl. And we were very fortunate. We went to Japan twice, 2 trips to Japan. The first time, 13.5 hours in the water, and we just got caught in a huge vortex of a current in the Suguru. It was a pure lottery. One day you could go out there, it's like this. The next day you go out there, there's a 6-knot current coming from the left to right, and the wind is coming the other direction, and it just churns up and blows you around the place. So we got it. We got the Japanese Channel in 13.5 hours, a perfect swim on the last day we were in Japan. The Molokai Channel in Hawaii took me 20 hours, and that was 10 days after we did the Cook Straits. We flew from New Zealand straight up to Hawaii, and with 2nd-degree burns from New Zealand on the back and the face completely destroyed, and we swam Molokai in 24 hours. And it was an incredible swim. We started off 6 or 7 o'clock at night and swam through the night. You had the whole night for your mind to play with what's next to me. And as I say, all you have to do, the rule is basic, touch the boat and the swim is over. So if you got too afraid of what's next to you, or is there a whale next to me, or is there sharks coming around, or is there a yellowfin tuna flying around, and we weren't allowed to wear any lights, because you know, the light would attract fish, which would attract bigger fish, which would attract, and so at infinitum, and your shark would come. And we didn't make it to that. We kind of got caught on a tide. There's a huge cliff around 4 miles offshore of Oahu, and we just couldn't get over the tide, so the skipper decided to let me go with the tide, and we ended up in a place called China Walls, and it's like razor blades. That's the best way of describing it. And like every channel swim, you have to kind of finish unaided. If anybody had touched me or helped me up onto the rock, the swim was gone. And also, there was a big swell, so there was timing the swell, got to the rock, and I thought they'd give it to me. You know, I was holding onto the rock, and the swell was bringing me up and down and cutting my legs and your hands and things like that. And said, no, you have to try and get up on your hands and knees and hold on to it and let the wave go down. So we had around 4 attempts at this, and I was getting fed up with this, but we got up on all 4s, which is pretty undignified. The wave went away, counted 5 seconds, and then just fell back into the water, swam back to the boat, and that was it.
Task complete, and it's a return to regular training sessions in the cold waters of Loch Eyne here in West Cork, where Steve encourages others to participate in a sport that can challenge them both physically and mentally, but without a doubt brings its own rewards.
People are looking for something different, and people realise that they can go a little bit further than they thought they could, and that's what this swimming is about. You know, you come down here and it's pouring rain, and nobody knows whether they can do it or not. You know, you can get in and no way, turn around, and it's a real battle with your own mind. We find you get guys coming down and want to race, that's fine, they'll race, but we find it's the steady guys that come time and time again, and they have a target and they set themselves a challenge. And the challenges with themselves, they can give up any time they like, and nobody has to know about it but themselves, and then you have the rest of your life to beat yourself up.